Finding Out the Bottle podcast. I am your host, Mr. Leach, and it's good to be back talking Charger football with you guys. As always, it's a great time. Just wanted to go over something real quick with you guys. Just update the status of the roster. It's a nice, quiet time in the season. These guys have done a great job building out the front of this roster. You know, they actually have. If we actually take a look and see at everything they have sitting on the roster right now, it's actually a pretty good squad. They're actually filled up. This is actually a great thing for us because it puts us in a position to where at the 22 pick we can do whatever we want with the pick. We don't have any glaring needs. I know we have a lot of glaring wants, but we don't have a lot of glaring needs, and that's a great position to be in going into the draft, especially picking a 22 in a draft like this, where it's just a overflow of talent in the pool of everything that we want as fans. There's wide receivers, there's D tackles, there's edge rushers, there's running backs. There's everything that we need, right? Tight ends. There's a ton of tight ends in there. They have a couple of corners. The DBs aren't that deep. There are some good corners and probably some sneaky good finds late in the draft. So we'll see what's going on with that. But for all the meat and potatoes, there's some good guards in here too. Good guards, good guard slash centers. A couple of tackles that can get converted to guard if we needed them to do that. So there's a few players in this draft that would be nice in that scenario. But for the most part, we can do whatever we want with this 22 pick. I know a lot of guys want Colston Loveland in that spot. Kenneth Grant, he's another one. Walter Nolan, if we can get him. That those are all great options. Those are all great options. I'm not sure what they're gonna do. I don't think anybody is sure with this front office what's gonna happen. I do think it's gonna be exciting though because these guys are they've done a very good job sneakily of putting together a roster for next year already. They already have a full roster if they needed it to be. It wouldn't be the best roster, but it would be a full roster. And we have room for improvement, just like always. But it's a very positive situation when you have 10 picks and you have no glaring needs. So you can draft 10 players that you want. You can trade those picks up or down. You can do a ton of things with those picks. So that's a good position. I doubt they trade away 22, but that does give them the option to move back, right, to like say a 27, 28, pick a player that they want and get up another pick or two. Maybe a fourth and a sixth or something of that nature, something later in the draft. You know, so you never know. We never know what could happen. That's what makes it so exciting around this time of year. The anticipation, man. The anticipation, the waiting. It kills me, man. I do wish it would be done. So until then, we feel dead air with good air, right? We talk about it. We say this is what I want. We say this is what I want. We hope that we can get anywhere in between. So we'll see what happens, right? But anyway, I just wanted to go over where the roster sits right now and let you guys know that we're in pretty good shape. Pretty good shape. We'll go over each position one by one, who's at that position, and what do we think. So we'll see. We'll go over each person. We won't go over each person. That would be too much, but we will address each position though. So we'll start out with quarterback. So a quarterback right now, after the signing last week, they have Justin Herbert, Taylor Heineke, and they have the new addition Trey Lance. Uh, Trey Lance, let's calm down, guys. Trey Lance was he's not here to take Justin's job. That's not even what he is here for is a trade piece more than likely. They will see somebody come out seeing ball, give up a fifth round pick for him, fourth round pick for him, right? Or Taylor, either one of them. If he does ball out and they decide to keep him, they maybe end up trading Taylor. Um, but that's what this is about. So this is actually a very, very good signing because I was saying that they needed to pick one in the draft or either get one undrafted free agency and mold them into the quarterback that they like. Since we got rid of Easton Stick, we needed a backup to the backup. We always want to carry three quarterbacks, at least I would, right? So just in case, you don't ever want to be in a position San Francisco was in where they had running back taking snaps there. We don't want to do that, right? So a pretty good signing, pretty good signing. Running back, we have Najee Harris, Hassan Haskins, Kamani Vidal, and Jared Patterson. So we're four deep at the running back spot, so that's our another spot that's filled out. Najee Harris, man, ground and pound. We can't say enough of them. Hassan Haskins and Kamani Vidal, we'll see. Jared Patterson is another one. He probably just can't body maybe. Hopefully he makes the team and he balls out. That would be great. That would be great to have a guy like that just come onto the scene and get some good work in. That would be great. I would love to see that. Fullback, we still got Scott Matlock. At wide receiver, we got Mike Dub, Lamb McConkey, QJ, and Jalen Rager. We have Brendan Rice, Darius Davis, Dez Fitzpatrick, and Jalen Johnson all on the squad. So right now we got 8 wide receivers. So we're pretty full up at the wide receiver spot too. I know we want to upgrade that position. Mike Dub is a year long. Lad's our stud. QJ, hopefully he takes a big jump, man. That would be a beautiful thing to see. If he take a big jump, that would be beautiful. He's on path to do that too. So that's keeping him is a good idea. I think we got to at least play out his rookie year. I'm sorry, rookie contract. See where we're at with him. Second year in the system with Greg Roman and John Harbaugh. That's gonna work for him. That's gonna work for him. So we'll see what's up with QJ. Jalen Rager, Darius Davis, we got returned. Brendan Rice, we really want to see. That's what I want to see. I just wanted to hurry up and get to that name. Brendan Rice, I really still want to see what he can do. I do think he could be a competent wide receiver in this league. I do think he can be a chain mover too. I don't think he'll be a breakout receiver. He'll never be what his pops was, but I won't say never. That hopefully he does, but those are big shoes to fill. So we're not gonna ask that of him, but I do want to see what he looks like. But anyway, we do have 8 wide receivers, so we're good there. We're stacked at the wide receiver spot. We do want to add, I think, another true X for sure to get behind Mike Dub. Not only for the injuries, but just to train up under him. There's a couple of guys in this draft that I really, really like. Later in the draft, not necessarily early in the draft, because like I said, this draft is extremely deep. So we're not we're not going to run with 8 wide receivers, but we have those on the roster right now. So if camp was to start tomorrow, these are the guys that would be reporting to camp. At the tight end spot, we got Tyler Conklin, Will Dissly, Tusker Fisk, and McKellen Castles. Okay, so we got 4 tight ends sitting on the squad right now. Tyler, just with the 3, right? If we ended up cutting McAllen, right, then we still have 3 tight ends. We have a good wide receiver, receiving tight end, and we have a couple of blocking tight ends, and we have a guy that can do both in Will Dissly now. After last year, I think he really showed us that if we need him in the pinch, he can get that catch and that first down. So I got to get a lot of love to Will Dissly and how he performed last year as a blocking tight end, or what we call a blocking tight end. He came in and he carried the load for us. So that was a good job on him, man, for sure. But we got 4 tight ends, so that technically we have everybody that we need. At tackle, we got, Joe. That would be a super baby. We have Rashawn Slater, Joe Alt, Jamari Sawyer, and Tyler McClellan. All right, so we have 4 tackles right now, right? We also have Trey Pipkins. I don't have him on here as a tackle. He's still a tackle, but so we have 4, 5 if you count him tackles on the squad. So we don't need a tackle. Right. If anything, we need to get a tackle later as a swing tackle backup to compete with Trey Pipkins for that job, because it's technically his job. Jamari Sawyer's not beating him. So we definitely want a late round tackle too. I'm glad they got all these picks in the 6th, because they could definitely get one in the 6th. That'll come in and compete, give up that good work, make people step their game up. That's really what we're looking for. Somebody can come in and get these guys good work. You got to earn that position now. That's what we're looking for. So, we actually got 5 tackles, because we just count Trey as a tackle, but so we don't need a tackle, right? At guard, we have Mekhi Becton, Zion Johnson, Carson Barnhart, Trey Pipkins. Okay, so now, do we need guards? I would say we do need guards. I would say we definitely need a guard, right? At least one. At least one. Because to leave it up to Mekhi Becton and Zion Johnson, right? No, I don't feel good about that, right? Not just them, right? We need somebody else that can actually come in. Guard, I think they do want to address that early. I know guys don't want to hear that this year because there's so many studs, but we really need to address that early, because it does stand out. There's a couple of guys late that I really do like in the draft. That's why I continuously mock those guys, but we definitely need to draft a guard, right? We definitely need to draft at least one guard, maybe 2 still, right? Because we still need to fill that out. Even though we have the numbers, we don't have the players, right? So that's what we have to distinguish between having the numbers and having the players. Right now we're okay body wise, but as far as the talent level, this is what we're going to be looking to improve in the draft. So At center, we got Bradley Bozeman, Andre James, and Bucky Williams. Now, they signed Andre James. They said they're going to give Zion some shots at center. That's another reason we need guards. Um, we'll see. We'll see. Zion may have to earn that. Andre James may be the starter. Bradley Bozeman, I definitely think won't be the starter. I think it'll be one of those two guys, Andre James or Zion Johnson. But I definitely would try to draft a center too, maybe a Tate Ratledge. Gray Zabel, I don't think they're gonna draft Gray Zabel. They may. I mean, that would be a true commitment to the trenches, but I think it would be a reach to draft Gray Zabel. I do. I think at 22, definitely it's a reach. Maybe if you used to trade back, there's just too many. There's going to be too many rock stars there to draft Gray Zabel. I like Gray Zabel. I mean, the mediocre rise to fame. It was lovely, right? But I don't know. Maybe he will be, maybe he won't. But I don't think at 22 that's what a risk I'm willing to take. I would not. I would rather just wait, trade back, maybe get him at 26, 27, 28. I feel a lot more comfortable at 28, obviously. But at 22, I don't think I would want to do that, especially now with who I think is still going to be on the board. It's going to be hard to pass up a Colston Loveland or a Kenneth Grant or Walter Nolan, right? If they're sitting there looking at you on the board, right? Or any one of those guys in there that could help improve this team. I don't think it would be Gray Zabel. I think there's just you could get a guard later, so I don't think they would go that on the 22nd. But next we have on defense we have Tier Tart, Naquan Jones, Otito Ogbonya, and Justin Aboibi, Christian Hinton, and Chris Collins. So at we have 6 D linemen. Um, Maybe we want one more. We definitely need to get one more. I mean, I think it's very important that we draft a young D tackle, a rock star. That's why I'm thinking Kenneth Grant or Walter Nolan, if those two are available. I think those are the guys that they want, right? So we'll see what happens with that, though. They could go edge. They just want to add to that attack. Edge is a position that I think we may end up needing, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, D line is definitely something that needs to be addressed as far as getting the young player in there, and we need to do it early. We haven't had a dominant D tackle since I would say Jamal Williams. Y'all let me know in the comments. Y'all correct me. I could be wrong, but I don't remember having a dominant nose tackle since Jamal Williams. So we'll see. You guys let me know in the comments what you think about that situation. But anyway, the edge rushing position, we have Deshaun Phillips, Mac, Thule, Bud Dupree, and so that's what we have. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's what we have. We have those 4 players. Mac is on a 1-year deal. We don't know if he'll retire. And Bud Dupree is on a 1-year deal, so we don't know if we resign him. So that leaves us right now with Thule and Delshon Phillips. Well, Delshon Phillips is a special team player. He's not a actual edge rusher. He will be on the team labeled as that, but his job is to be a special teamer. He's a rock star special teamer. So we need to get that. Really just leaves us with Thule next year, right? So people are saying you should push it off to next year and draft one next year. Well, you don't want to go into next year down basically 3 defensive edge rushers. That doesn't make sense to do. You don't want to go into it with 3 of those guys needing to be rookies. Or you have to get somebody signed. You may have to overpay, and Ortiz is not like overpaying. So I say it's best to draft 2 D edge rushers in this draft because this draft is deep and you have 10 picks. So you can actually commit those resources to that position and it wouldn't hurt you. You have 3 extra picks. So committing to 2 edge rushers would probably be the best thing to do, and then next year you can sign a guy, a more veteran guy, and have him come in, but then these guys both have a year in the system. That's what you want to do. I would do that and just carry an extra one. So now you have 5 edge rushers this year, and then at the end of the next year, you can see where you're at if you have to even re-sign Bud Dupree, or if Khalil Mack decides he wants to retire, you're already in good shape. So that is a tricky one to look for. A lot of people don't think that we need edge because we have Khalil Mack and Thule, but we need to have at least 1 or 2 more come in through this draft. Good talented players. So, and this is the draft to do it. So, and we have the picks to do it, so we can't make that mistake, right? I don't think we should. We also have Caleb Murray and Tremont Morris Bush, but I don't think they'll actually make the roster. So it kind of becomes they're just camp bodies. So, but I wouldn't like I said, I would go ahead and get two young studs in there, high some good talent guys, and that way they're coming off of their college year, they're coming in, they're ready to ball out. Just new guys for the regime to mold. Jesse Mitchell to teach, fresh in their own system on how to do things right. Okay. At the inside linebacker position, we got Deion Henley, Junior Colson, Denzel Perryman, Troy Dye, and Jeremiah Jean Baptiste. Right. So we got five inside linebackers, right? Six edge rushers, five inside linebackers. Well, when I say edge rushers, I'm counting all the outside linebackers and all that good stuff. So inside linebacker, we have five of those. So numbers wise, we don't need an inside linebacker either, right? We have a ton of the depth that we were looking for, and this is the one thing that I've always screamed is that we need to make sure we have depth at the positions, right? So they just created this roster right under our nose that's almost completely full, right? It is completely full. We're just looking for talent. You can see at cornerback we have Tarheeb Still, Cam Hart, Jasir Taylor, Dean Leonard, Dante Jackson, Benjamin St. Juice, and Elijah Moulton. Even though we know Elijah Moulton is playing mostly safety, but he's still on the roster as a corner. So that gives us seven cornerbacks. So we have seven cornerbacks on the team right now, so we don't need a cornerback, right? We have two clear starters, Jasir Taylor's a slot. Dante Jackson is on here, Cam Hart. So we really have three quality starters. If you count St. Juice, he's another one, right? Jasir Taylor's a quality slot. So that's a really really good cornerback room. So we actually don't need another corner. Um, I think Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart are the truth, and I think they're going to be starting corners in this league for years to come. So we'll see, right? They may draft another corner, they may not. Due to contract situations, I'm not 100% sure on all of their contracts right now, but yeah. So they're on the team as of right now, though. So we have them signed through next year. So that's we don't need any more corners. So that's a non-starter. We shouldn't go that early unless somebody drops. If somebody drops, I'm all for drafting a guy that we know is a rock star. So at safety we got Derwin, Alohi Gilman, Tony Jefferson, Kendall Williamson, right? So and Amani Johnson, right? So we have five cornerbacks, right? I'm sorry, five strong safeties, right? Or strong safeties in general. I'm sorry, but we don't. They're saying that we do need a safety, which I don't think we definitely need a safety. It would be good to get a safety, but with Elijah Molden back, him stepping back, playing that safety position, we actually don't need to get a safety either. So I would feel comfortable if they didn't get a safety in this draft because we have Elijah Molden and he's shown us that he gives Derwin the flexibility to go up and be Derwin, and that's really all we wanted. So body wise, our whole roster is filled out. Obviously we have Cam Dicker, the kicker. Um, that dude's fantastic. We got a good one right there, and we got J.K. Scott back. So, re-signing J.K. Scott fills out the rest of the team. We have 63 players on our team right now, so that's 10 over the allotted amount. So that lets me know they're probably going to fill this roster out. So if they use 10 of the picks, let's say they use 8, but let's just keep it simple and say they use 10 of the picks. Right now, you have 73, and they'll probably add another 10 at least undrafted free agents because they love to do that. So right now we're in good shape with the way the roster looks. We're in a lot better shape than a lot of people realize. A lot of teams are not nowhere near this filled out, right? With bodies that you could come in right now and play with, right? So, you know, we're in a position where we can do basically whatever we want with this 22 pick, and it sounds amazing to me, man. That we're in a position finally to where we can do whatever it is that we want to do, and we don't have to worry about drafting for need. We want all of these things, and we can actually have them because we have the other pieces in place to fill out the roster, right? And a lot of us aren't used to that, but that's beautiful, right? I'm not big on trading up, but we could in this draft trade up, you know, 4 or 5 spots, 6 spots, get somebody. If Tyler Warren happens to slide, and we're like, hey, we got to go get this guy, or Ashton Ginger, somebody ridiculous slide. They say take this might slide, so we'll see, right? They could trade up, they could trade down, right? Which is what I would prefer to do. Trade back, get a couple of more picks, be super greedy, have 12 picks in this draft, and just take all the talent that we want. I would love that. I would love that. That would be fantastic for me. And even stand pat. They stand pat, draft at 22, stick with what everybody wants, which is Colston Loveland with that 22 pick. That's what the majority of the people want is Colston Loveland. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm just saying there's a lot of talent in the draft at that position to where you don't need to invest 22 in it because you signed Tyler Conklin. Had they not signed Tyler Conklin, I would say Colston Loveland would be the immediate pick. But since they signed a wide receiving tight end, I don't think they have to draft that early when they really need a big plugger up front at the D tackle position. They need inside linemen and they need edge rushers more than they need tight end right now. So yeah, and that's what we want is we want a stud, but we have to be realistic about what Harbaugh's trying to build, how he's trying to build it, and what the talent in this draft tells us that they should do, right? Not just who we want. So, but that's all I got for you guys, man. Thank you guys for joining me, on the Lightning Out the Bottle podcast, man. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification so next time I drop a video, it pops up first for you. And at the end of the day, always bolt up.